is, what does this say? 60 something degrees. 64.5. 64.4. It's really cold in here. And there's no heat. It is now 1 p.m. on Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. And I'm in my bathroom. There's absolutely no heat in the building whatsoever, no hot water either. And there hasn't been for 30 hours now. It's been since just before 8 a.m. yesterday. No, sorry, 9 a.m. So I keep trying to see if there's water. You just run the water a little bit, see if it's going to bring up some hot water. This is a hot water knob. There's absolutely no hot water. It's ice cold. And because the water is so cold, you can't stick your hand under there for very long without your fingers going numb. And then you have to boil water to put into like a little bowl or pan to wash your hands so that they don't freeze. I've just had to file a complaint with the inspectional services because there's no heat. And it's 22 degrees outside. It was 18 degrees last night. Still no heat in this unit. The Greenville Group is not providing heat or hot water to their tenants. And this has been going on this is the second day in a row now. So just to give an idea of how cold it is throughout the building, it's not just this unit. It's below 68 degrees. 68 degrees is a cutoff for a code violation for no heat. Let's just see what the temperature is here. It's really cold. Wow. I can't see what that says. 60 degrees. Yeah, that's glacial. Oh, here we've got it at 58. So just at my door, right? So let's just point this at my bathroom. 59 degrees. It's freezing. I mean, that is way cold. It should not be in the 50s inside of a residential building that people are trying to live in, right? You can't live in a building with no heat and no hot water. So inspectional services told me that the lack of heat is an emergency, and they're dispatching out the lack of heat complaint, but no hot water is not an emergency. Like, really? How are you supposed to wash your hands if the water is so ice cold your hands go numb after 15 seconds, right? But, you know, they know better. I mean, it's their department. They're the ones who make the rules. So great, no hot water is not an emergency. But there's still no hot water, so you can't do anything. You can't shower unless you're going to dump a pan of hot water from the stove over your head. You can't wash your hands. You can't really brush your teeth either, also, unless you put warm water into a cup, because the ice cold water makes your teeth go numb. Like, literally, that's how cold it is. That is how cold it is. So to make matters worse, there's someone, and I keep reporting this, who likes to deliberately burn, propagate, or smoke sickening fumes and odors from behind this wall. And it literally fills this entire area right here by the window, and also the window by my bed. And it's a very disturbed, no life, low life piece of psychopath who's been doing this for over 10 years. People who know what goes on in this building have told me that she's getting sponsored with free rent by the Greenville Group to engage in constant harassment because she's already got some obsessive mental health issues that make her basically a 24/7 attack dog. And she likes to sit somewhere in the area behind this wall and deliberately get really aggressive and disruptive and engage in some very destructive and harmful activities that prevent the delivery of utilities to this unit, such as cutting off the flow of water to that tap, as she has claimed that she can do. Making statements in writing on my social media page that she's a structural engineer who is not using a saddle valve to contaminate the water to my tap, but that she is putting boogers in the water to my tap and I should enjoy the boogers in my hair. These are statements that were made in writing by Jasmine Irizarry on my social media page a few months back. So she also seems to specialize in the deliberate propagation of sickening, overpowering amounts of smoke and fumes that make it impossible for me to breathe properly when I'm in this unit, and that's the whole point. So I have to turn the air conditioner on for ventilation and keep the door to the hallway open, which means that the temperature in here is actually colder than it should be because I have to blow cold air through this unit, keep the door to the hallway open. I've actually had the burners on the stove going. Right now they're off, but this is the only source of warmth. And as as you can see, I don't have a space heater. The Greenville Group has not provided tenants with space heaters so far, even though they've had no heat in this building for over 24 hours. And this right here, this burner, is the only source of warmth. You can't see the flame. Let me just, oh, that didn't work. Yeah, see, there you go. Now it's working. So there's an open flame. I mean, I don't have anything immediately around that flame that could catch fire. But if, for instance, if this little cloth here fell, it could cause a fire. I mean, you know, you don't know. Maybe the handle of the pan could catch fire. It's so dangerous to have to sleep with an open flame because your landlord is failing to provide functioning heat or any kind of heat. It's not just functioning heat, it's no heat at all for 30 hours. Not 36 hours. That would be at like 3 p.m. today. 30 hours of no heat, no hot water. And I keep hoping there's a little bit of warmth in this water. It's just ice cold. It's ice cold. So you can't do anything with that water. They're just flat out failing to provide any functioning heat in this building. And then they need to compensate tenants. I mean, do things break? Of course. Do things break if you engage in regular maintenance? I mean, this is the only building I have ever lived in my life, including my own building that I grew up in Chicago in the 70s when I was little, where there has been constant heating, hot water failures across the board, ongoing for months, years. This management company cannot get their act together. They literally have absolutely the most inefficient system of maintaining their infrastructure, of paying for actual professionals to do the work. They just don't maintain. And so things break down. And then when they break down for days at a time. And then it impacts the safety, the health, and the living quality of the tenants. I mean, who wants to stay in a building that has no heat, no hot water when it's literally 18 degrees outside? Right now, it's approximately 24 degrees outside in Boston, which is still very cold. I mean, it's not like it's, in the 50s. We are February 19th, 2025. And middle of February is not a good time for your neglect, your years long worth of neglect to suddenly cause all of your heating and hot water systems to fail for 2 days straight. Why does it always happen in the middle of winter? I mean, why can't they have a hot water outage in July? That'd be nice. Then the water would be cool, right? But no, it always happens in January or February. That's when they suddenly shut off the heat or claim that, they're repairing the heating system. Really, why do you have to repair it in February when it's 22 degrees outside? Why don't you repair it in August when it's 90 and nobody cares? It's unreal, absolutely unreal. So, unsafe, very dangerous, time to go to court, file a restraining order against the landlord because they're not compensating tenants for the lack of heat and hot water. They're not giving us vouchers to go stay at a motel or even providing us with units in the building across the street. I mean, this might not be happening in the building across the street, even though it's a holding pen for psycho trash sex offenders, most of whom are males and like to stand on the street corners in large numbers, screaming and shouting and slamming things against cars for hours. I'm sure that building right now is probably not having a heating outage or a hot water outage, but this building is, apparently. So the Greenville Group is just inefficient. They can't get their shit together. They don't know how to compensate tenants for their infrastructure failures, their lack of proper maintenance of their heating systems and their hot water pipes and their plumbing and their thermostats. And when the whole system breaks down, they just sit there and say, "Oh, sorry, nothing we can do. Oh, well, then it's time to go to court," right? So that's when you know you have to go to court. When your management company refuses to do anything about massive infrastructure failures that are their problem, their responsibility, and they just sit there and act like it's some kind of an act of God. Like, "Oh no, our heating went out for 2 days. We're so sorry. Nothing we can do." Really? Yes, there is.